Well, welcome to the Writer Reads Short Stories. This one is Serpents, Souls and Dragons' Hearts, Part 3. Felicity turned her daughter in her lap and put a hand on each of her shoulders so she could be sure she had Amalea's full attention. How close is he, honey? Amy frowned, and Felicity tried again. I mean, is he on this world? In this city, Amy cut her off. Not far from the school. She paused and then whispered, I think he's a teacher, Mama. Is he at the school now? Mika asked. Amy frowned and shook her head, and then she carefully explained. He's a teacher, Daddy. They don't work at night. Felicity was aware of hastily suppressed smirks, but she ignored them. Well, is he asleep or is he awake? She asked. Oh, he's awake, Amy said. I don't think he sleeps much. He is talking. What about? Amy frowned. He says the fighting has to stop, she said, that it isn't helping their cause. He says the people, he means the many-legged ones, Mama. He says the people should find another way, another direction to expand in, and some way to control their breeding habits. She stopped, her frown growing deeper. What does he mean by that, Mama? Felicity exchanged looks with Mika and Manx, then glanced at the circle of advisers. Focus, little one, Keslek said. Tell us what he says. If we can explain what he means to you, then we will. Amy regarded him with solemn eyes. So that's grown-up stuff, she said, wrinkling her nose. Fine. And before any of them could react to that, she settled into stillness, her eyes taking on a faraway stare before she closed them. Figuring their target was inside his own house, Felicity placed her daughter in Mika's arms and went to the window. Twitching the bamboo curtain aside, she gazed out into the dark and then looked up at the sky. It had been a there we are. It had been a surprise to discover that the lizardine did have cities on the planet's surface. Not once in humanity's ill-conceived war had one been discovered, but they'd been there, sliding from the edge of scans and radars as defensive systems fed human equipment a network of lies. No one had suspected the defenses weren't meant for them, that the lizardine had planned for another, more dangerous invasion. And that reminded her. Felicity turned her head and started to let the curtain drop when a flash of light caught her eye. It was gone before she knew it, another falling star in a sky filled with stars. None of them were prepared for what came next. They come! Amy screamed, struggling to pull free of her father's arms. You fools! You said they did not know! You said they could not know! She paused, but before Felicity could reach her, began to speak again. Well, they're here now. A shuttle just made planetfall. How did you miss their departure? Again the child paused, and the sudden silence made the Psi Master audible as he came through the door. Felicity glanced from her daughter to the Master just as Manx grabbed the Psi's arm. She's channeling, he said, writing his mind. The Psi Master snapped out a single epithet and reached Amy in 3 quick strides. He arrived as sudden awareness laced the child's tones. Ah, and who are you? She said, just as the Master took her face between his hands. He stooped to rest his forehead against hers. Amy locked her gaze on his and they froze, looking deeply into each other's eyes for what seemed to Felicity like too long a time. When at last the Psi Master stepped away from the child, Amy stared at him. And then she burst into tears. Now I won't know when he's coming. I won't know when he's coming, she wailed, panic rising in her tones, and both Felicity and Mika turned to glare at the Master. She will know, he assured them, then looked at the child. You will know. I promise. You will know. Amy stopped mid-wail. Promise? Look and see, he said, and Amy went still. After a second more, she smiled. Thank you, she said, and snuggled closer to her father as Manx answered another quiet knock at the door. The Psi Master turned and beckoned the newly arrived lizardine hybrid. His gaze caught Felicity's eye as it passed over, but he did not stop to explain, introducing the newcomer to her daughter instead. Sheshkelth, Meet Amalea. Amalea, this is Shishkelth. He will keep you safe inside your head. Sir Carrick cannot find me? The Psy Master nodded. Yes, and so your family will be safe. Sheshkelth eyed the little girl, his gaze wandering over Felicity and Micah as he did so. Felicity caught a nervous ripple as it tremored through his crest and watched the hybrid's form waver between lizardine and human. The Psy Master said something soothing as Sheshkelth held out his hand. Come, he said to Ami, show me where I can sit while you sleep. In your room, Micah intoned, and Ami gave him an impish grin. Would their daughter have really settled Sheshkalth in her parents' room? Felicity knew that look. If Micah hadn't said anything, she and her mate would have been sleeping in the guest quarters. Thinking of the other children snuggling in their bed, she realized they would probably be sleeping there anyway. She watched as Emmy led Sheshkalth out of the dining room and then focused on the Psy Master. He was waiting, taking in the people in the room and giving Keslek a respectful nod. One of the junior councillors brought him a chair and went to stand behind Micah's chief of staff. But it was Felicity to whom the master spoke first. Your daughter is a powerful Psy, he said, and Felicity blushed. Until tonight we could not be sure. She looked across at Manx and nodded. Until tonight there were only dreams and coincidences, he said. Nothing more. The Psy Master gave him a long and thoughtful look. Yet tonight you not only called me, but you could tell me what she had done. I suspected and I researched, Manx replied. I was still not certain. You did well, and we were in time, the master reassured him, turning back to Felicity. Carrick is the name of the Arak general hiding on this planet. His words brought hisses of surprise from those around the table, but he ignored them and continued. Your daughter was eavesdropping on the conversation he was having with the command of his Arak war faction. He is what we would call a moderate, one of those who recognizes that his people will eat themselves out of a home if they continue as they have been, which is to breed until they are forced to spread, and then to conquer and breed and spread again. The cycle takes time, and between us, we and the Brotherhood hunted them almost to extinction. We missed some, Micah observed in his driest tone. And we should be glad, the Psy Master retorted, ignoring And we should be glad, the Psy Master retorted, ignoring the lift in Micah's crest. We do not want to be responsible for the death of an entire people. No species should bear that debt. And now every species faces extinction in return, Manx observed, but Micah did not let him take the thought further. I believe the human saying is that no good deed goes unpunished, he intoned, staring at Manx until the man subsided. If it was a mistake, it will not be repeated. This last was delivered directly to the Psy Master. If I must destroy one people to preserve a universe of peoples, then I will damn our race to carry the burden, he said. We did not re-enter the universe only to fail it. He looked again to Manx. And your race has a debt to pay, he said. This should clear it. Only to place us under the shadow of genocide, Manx protested, shifting to his role of humanity's ambassador. I do not think that's a reputation we can afford to bear. Micah tilted his head to one side and gave a brief bob of his crest. As your guardians, the lizardine would be held to blame, he answered, and Manx snorted. You have given us a choice. Surely we'll be held to blame for what we choose. Look again at the offer, Micah said, and you will see that you have no choice at all. Manx opened his mouth to protest, but Micah continued. We are your guardians. If we fall, you will still be held accountable for the war. If we fall, he emphasized. Who else, do you think, has the technology to keep the fever at bay? And Felicity hated the choice humanity would be forced to make. Hated the fact it was the man she loved forcing them to make it, but not hating the rough justice of it. Humanity had tried to destroy the lizardine out of greed. and now they would repay that effort in full. The human part of her was horrified. The lizardine in her felt a deep and abiding satisfaction. Still, she had to try for an alternative. "We could at least try not to repeat humanity's mistakes," she suggested. "We know this carrack is on world, and am I mistaken in believing the Brotherhood have just arrived?" "No, you are correct," the Psi Master interrupted. "Your daughter had fallen far enough into Carrick's mind that she was speaking his words as he said them, and that is what alerted the Arak to her presence. He will come for her, and now for me. As a result of this, Aquapearl has just been moved up to As a result of this, Aquapearl has just been moved up the menu. In the wars that came before, Psis were too dangerous for the many-legged ones to ignore." He turned his attention to Mika and Keslek. "Which is important for you to know." "But that's not in the archives," Keslek said. "No, it is in the archives of the Psi," came a voice from the newly opened dining room door. Manx moved, but the creature in the doorway moved faster, its arm a blur as it knocked Manx's weapon from his hand and then backhanded the ambassador hard enough to knock him into a wall. A hum filled the room and darkness blurred its form while two weapons appeared in its hands. "I come in peace," it said. "Perhaps I should have knocked." Manx pulled himself upright and looked to Mika. "Forgive us," Mika replied. "It has been a night of surprises. I take it you travelled well?" "Very well," their visitor answered, and then fired.